Welcome to Paradise in the Pines, a podcast about the people, places, and stories that make this the home of American golf. Brought to you by the Pinehurst Southern Pines Aberdeen Area Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Hello again, everybody. I'm Phil Wers, President and CEO with the Pinehurst Southern Pines Aberdeen Area Convention and Visitors Bureau, and we are here at the U.S. Open. We're taping some special shows we're going to show you over the course of the next couple of months, and we've got a really very special guest with us on this segment, and that is Mike Hicks. Mike was Payne Stewart's caddy when he won the 1999 U.S. Open. First of all, Mike, thanks so much for joining us. It's an absolute pleasure to meet you, my time for the first time ever, and man, what's it like to be back at the scene 25 years after Payne sunk that incredible putt?
Yeah, it's hard to believe 25 years has passed, and it's exciting to be back, and it's nice to see that the USGA is, this will be our third time here now, or fourth time. This is our fourth time, and going to come back every 5 years, so it's exciting for the village of Pinehurst, and you know, what better place to have it than the mecca of golf in the United States, but Pinehurst.
When you came back to this scene, did you walk out to 18? Did you do that? How much do you reminisce? How much do you think now, especially given the anniversary of his win?
Well, you know, I've played the course, obviously, a few times since '99. I was here, I don't know, a month ago and played.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you when you get on each hole, you kind of remember certain things that happened during the course of the week in '99, and they usually try to put the pin, when they know I'm coming, they'll put the pins out that we had on Sunday. You know, they're very cool memories when I come back.
Just take us back for people that don't know, you know, how did your relationship with Payne start?
Well, I was caddying for Curtis Strange at the time on a part-time basis. Curtis didn't want a regular caddy. He had myself and another guy named Don Wanstall. We shared time. This was 1984 to 1987. So we're in Japan, and Payne had just fired his longtime caddy, Rob Kay. And I went up to Payne. I said, hey, if the bag opens up. Payne had hired this guy that had never caddied before in his life. And I went up to Payne. I said, hey, if this guy doesn't work out, I'd like a shot at the bag. So this guy lasted about a month. Payne came to me and said, hey, you want a trial basis for 4 weeks? And I said, absolutely. So 4 weeks turned into 12 years. Wow.
And that started when?
That started in the spring of 1988.
Okay. So you were with Payne, obviously, the year before when he lost to Lee Janzen at Olympic Club.
Right. How
did he take that, and what was his focus over the course of the next year preparing for Pinehurst?
So 98... 98 proved to himself that he could still compete at a high level in a major championship. You know, we led the whole week up until the last couple of holes. And Payne had, you know, he had changed his life. He had become a Christian, and you know, when you do that, there is a change in personality and the way you live your life. So you could see that in the way he handled himself, the way he treated people, and the peace that he had on the golf course. So. We came into this week really riding the momentum that we got from '98 at Olympic Club.
Yeah.
I mean, he was very confident in his game when we got here in '99.
Talk about what it was like to walk with him that day. Not so much the final hole, but his demeanor, like getting ready for that final round. Cooler day, just kind of a almost eerie kind of conditions, atypical of a June in Pinehurst. But talk about his demeanor at the start of that day and how he progressed through the round.
So we got here on the range, which is, you know, right here in front of us. Back then they used the actual range.
Yeah, Maniac Hill.
So we got out there, and he had a raincoat on, and he was warming up, and he'd hit about 20 balls, and I could tell it was bugging him. I mean, he was not in rhythm. He wasn't hitting the ball solid, and he's like, and it was just cool enough to have something else on other than a golf shirt, but, you know, too warm for a full rain jacket.
Yeah.
So he said, go in the pro shop and get me some scissors. And I went, what? He said, yeah, go in and get some scissors. I'm going to cut the sleeves off this thing. So I go in the shop here.
Right here at the Pageant Learning Center.
Yeah, the Learning Center. And I get the scissors. He cuts it off to the elbow, hits 4 or 5 balls. Didn't like that feel, and ends up cutting the whole sleeve off, and lo and behold, there's the sleeveless rain vest is invented that day.
And then the sleeves ended up in a trash can.
Yeah, and I guess they got the sleeves out of the trash can. They're on display here in the clubhouse.
They did have them in the Deuce, in the restaurant that overlooks the final hole of Pinehurst No. 2. And it wasn't in the most flattering location where people can actually walk by and see it, but now it's in a much more prominent location, and justifiably so, inside the clubhouse.
Right. Yeah, so, he never, as the day went on, the mist kind of stopped. The sun never really came out. It stayed cloudy. But it got warmer as the day went on, but he never took that off. He had a good feel. Payne was all about feel. And, he had a good feel going that day, and that sleeveless rain vest never came off.
Did he engage with Phil at all during the round?
No, not really.
Just kind of keeps to himself?
No, if you're in...
Got the blinders
I don't
on.
care. I don't care if you're playing with your best friend.
Yeah.
When you're in that situation, there's not a lot of small talk going on between the competitors.
What about it between you and he? How much did you guys engage, or you just kind of like trying to keep him in the game and just keep him in the moment?
It was strictly business. Not much small talk. Not really no small talk going on between shots. You get to your shot and you start your routine, which is getting the yardage. What's the shot playing? Where's the wind? That type stuff. But he was as focused as I'd have ever seen him. He would get to that level in the Ryder Cups and in major championships, but he was really dialed in '99 here.
It's funny. I've probably watched the Golf Channel shows that final round. No matter where it is, I'll watch it like every time. You know what's going to happen, but still, it gives you goosebumps. But do you watch it and see it? Does it give you goosebumps to kind of look back and go, man, this is something that is going to be viewed for hundreds of years? Yeah,
and it never gets old seeing that. It was a special moment in my life and in my career, and arguably it was. One of the best major championships in golf history.
No question.
To make a 20-footer on the last hole to win the tournament. And at age 42, and you've got all the young guns right there. At the time, David Duval was #1 in the world. Yeah. We played with him on Saturday. Tiger was just coming on the scene.
Ricky Fowler played well.
Vijay Singh.
Yeah.
They were all right there. So for him at age 42 to hold those guys off, and Phil right there, for him to hold those guys off, that was, it was a special moment for us middle-aged people,
People that aren't middle-aged or older age like me, talk about those last 3 holes, because it really, you talk about his mental focus and being able to perform in the clutch. Talk about going down the stretch, 16, 17, and then maybe up to the approach shot on 18.
So 16, he had a good tee shot, and then pulled his 2-iron, hit a limb probably 30 yards short of the green. There's some pine trees down that left side, and it hit the limb, kicked down in the fairway, but now we're faced with that 40-yard shot to a pin that's kind of front rightish, so a very tough shot. And I think he caught it a touch thin, so it went way by. I think we went 25, 30 feet by the hole. And, I've putted that putt many times over the years, and you can't read that putt, much less make it.
Yeah.
So we're looking at going 2 behind. Phil's thinking and Phil's right there by the hole, just in the rough, not a terribly hard chip shot. So I'm sure he was thinking he's going to be 2 up leaving the green, and as it turned out, we were even leaving the green.
Yeah.
We make the 30-footer, and Phil missed about a 6-footer for par, and now all of a sudden it's even going to
that
the
shake him up?
hole.
You think that shook him up?
I think it did.
Yeah.
I think it did a little bit. And then Payne stiffened it on the – I'll tell you what, one of the greatest shots I've ever seen, though, in golf in my whole career was the shot that Phil hit. After Payne had stuck it.
Huh.
And, it was 187 yards. That was a really big 6-iron for Payne, but Phil hit 7. Now, back in 1999, for a 7-iron to go that far, it just goes to show how jacked up he was. And that was one of the greatest shots I've ever seen, to come right on top of Payne and hit it almost as close as he did. So it was, just some phenomenal golf coming in. And, of course, Phil misses, we make. Now we're up 1. And he hits his drive down the right side at 18. On a really good line, and as we're walking up, we can see they got the flag there, and he, I don't know, we were about 20 yards from the ball. He said I caught it just a touch thin, so that's why it didn't carry there.
Yeah.
And it was the worst lie all week. He didn't even ask what we had to the green. He asked me what we had to lay up short of the cross bunkers up there.
Yeah.
He pulls an 8-iron out, chops it up there. I think we had 78 yards to that back pin, which was a bad number. You know, it wasn't a full sandwich shot, so that's, you know, you're not going to go ahead and rip one because over the green it's out of bounds
and under
dead.
conditions.
Yeah, right. So, you know, he hit it right where you were supposed to hit it, 20 feet short of the hole.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I think I heard there was a tease. You've done many interviews, but you did that one recently with Gary Williams, and I heard the tease for that program and said that you didn't think he was going to make the putt.
No, I didn't. I had a charity event scheduled for the next day with Payne, Fred Couples, Paul Azinger, and Hal Sutton. We were doing a charity event for the North Carolina Children's Hospital, and I had Neil Lancaster on call in case one of those guys couldn't make it. So I'm literally, this is the God honest truth, I'm over there going, I'm going to have to call Neil to take our place because we're playing tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, because you're not expecting them to make that putt.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what percentages are, but they're not very high that you're going to make that putt, especially to win the U.S. Open.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, he makes it, and the rest is history.
Where were you standing exactly? Were you somewhat just
I was
off the line,
I was on
or
the left side of the green.
Where
I was behind him.
Was there a certain point over that 20 feet where you're like, he might make this damn putt? Or it just hit the bottom and you're just like blown away?
You know, it happens so fast. I don't know what it was probably only 3 or 4 seconds go by before that ball to the hole. So when you see it disappear, I mean, it was like, what just happened here? You know, and you know, he grabs me by the face, and after I bear hugged him,
Right.
and you know, it was a little inside joke that we had. Bruce Edwards, the late Bruce Edwards, who caddied for Tom Watson for a number of years, he would call everybody a beauty. You know, so, you know, when something crazy would happen or something stupid would happen, you know, we'd call the person a beauty, and he grabs me by the face and said, "You beauty, you beauty."
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Talk about the Pinecrest Inn. I understand, obviously a local hotel here, but he had an affinity for that local hotel, which still stands today. Donald Ross used to own it, but Payne loved that place.
Loved it. Great food, you know, family-style food. I mean, his signature is still in the bathroom there. I mean, that was a spot that he would go to when he was in town, definitely to the Pinecrest for sure. When
you come back here, obviously the course, even the grass is different than it was in 1999, even in 2014. When you come back here and you see the course conditions now, how do you think Payne would fare today?
I think he would fare fine. I mean, it's going to be, you know, the fairways are a little more generous now than they were in 99 and 05 and 14. I mean, we had rough then. Now you're back to the native areas off the fairway, but the fairways are very generous. But going to Bermuda grass on these greens, that's going to be a different animal. Because now all of a sudden you're factoring in slope and grain on some of these putts, and that's going to be hard.
I understand, too, in preparation for this U.S. Open, they planted thousands of what they call pine blossoms, which some people might say, you don't want to call them weeds. I understand what you call it that. Right. And they're not, I guess they're wiregrass, but they're clumps, so they call them pine blossoms. And they've added significantly more, so those waste areas, there's a chance these guys are going to get into a clump of something like that. And maybe even more, as a caddy, I mean, you probably would rather be in heavier rough than you would be in one of these pine blossoms.
Oh, for sure. Because that...
you know how it's going to come out.
Exactly. The heavy rough is predictable. The club could get, you know, grabbed by a strand. But it's only going to get worse as the years go on. I mean, they're still not quite where they want it, I don't think, as far as the thickness of that stuff. Because you can still, I mean, I played a month ago, and you can still hit it in some areas where you're going to catch a lie.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you right now, the guy that wins this week will get lucky almost every time he hits it off the fairway. That's just how it goes.
Yeah.
I mean, Lady Luck will be on your side, and you'll catch these lies where you can advance to the green. But it's going to get worse and worse as these U.S. Opens continue to come here. It'll get more and more penal, and you know that's what they're striving for. I mean, it's time we had a U.S. Open. You know, these 62s they had last year. I mean, I'm sure Payne, looking down from heaven, was going, you know, what is going on? Is this a U.S. Open? So I got to think par is going to be a good score this week.
And the greens are going to run about a 14. Now, that's in the morning.
Yeah.
By the time the afternoon hits and afternoon run, they could be running, 15 and a half, you
They
think?
could. I mean, it really going to, what's going to, we're not supposed to get any rain, so the greens are going to they're going to be able to get them as firm as they want. And they could go over the edge with it, where it could be virtually impossible to play this place. I don't think the USGA will do that. But it's going to be a lot harder test than it was in 14.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that.
When you come here, especially, I'm sure when you're on site, you think about Payne. But how much do you think about Payne, even 25 years later, on a daily kind of basis?
Well, he's on my refrigerator. I've got a picture of him. And he's it was a professional picture taken by Kazu Suzuki. He was a Japanese photographer that Payne. He was under. He worked for Payne. I don't know if he was under contract or whatever, but anytime there was a photo shoot, Kazu was doing the photos. And he sent me a nice picture of him, and, he was posing for something, but he's in full garb, looks great, and I see him every day. He's on my fridge.
When you come here and you see the statue, what goes through your mind?
Well, just, I always get a picture.
Yeah.
I've got pictures from, I've actually found one the other day and sent it to my son Jacob, who's now 30 years old, and this was 2011. And I sent that picture to him, and, he texted me back, great memories, So I take one every time I'm here with the statue. And it immortalizes Payne, I mean,
yeah.
He's here forever. There's a statue of him. So, I pay my respects every
Sure.
time I'm here.
What does it mean to you? It is the most photographed thing, and Pinehurst Resort will tell you by far it's the most photographed thing when people come to this destination. They want to find that statue. They want that picture. They want to stand and fist pump just like Payne did.
Right.
How does it make you feel when you see other people take pictures with that statue and you're standing there and you're Mike Hicks?
Yeah, it warms your heart. It does. It warms your heart. What a iconic pose. I mean,
Yeah.
it just original. Him coming up with that. I mean, at that moment and them capturing that moment. I got some great pictures of that whole sequence when he makes the putt. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
That whole thing was just surreal. It was a surreal moment, and they properly named it that one moment in time. And it surely was.
How often do you still communicate with the family?
Christmas cards, that type stuff. I'll see
Yeah.
them this week
Yep.
a lot. We're a couple of functions that we're going to both be at. So it'll be good to see them. I haven't seen the family in a few years, so it'll be good to see everybody.
How weird was it to see the statue in a totally different place than it's been for 25 years out here as the fans come in?
Right.
They wouldn't have access to it where it is right now because of the suites.
Exactly.
But now everybody, 250,000 people that come here during U.S. Open week can get a picture with Payne.
Right. I knew it had happened, so I was on the lookout for it. So yeah, it's a good spot. It's a perfect spot. Welcoming you
Sure.
to the Mecca of golf.
Could not be more appropriate. What are you doing now? Let's talk about you. Where do you live? What are you doing?
I'm in Kingsport, Tennessee. I'm semi-retired. I haven't caddied in over a year. I retired from caddying last June. I'm working for a company called Tour Caddy Collective. We entertain corporate America.
Okay.
There's three of us usually on a panel that we do a bit of teaching. We set up our own little nets and AstroTurf mats, and we teach for about an hour or so, and then we do about an hour and a half of Q&A, and it's gone really good. Everybody we've done work for really loves it.
What do you think about the game today with the whole live controversy, and how much has the game changed since you were working with Payne?
It's easier now. I mean, everything is designed. The ball's designed to go straight, so you don't not as much spin on the ball, so it doesn't curve as much when you mishit it. I think the game's easier. The live situation, I think it's been good. It woke up a lot of people about what was going on with the tour, and competition's always good. And you will see all these guys together again soon.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I'm sure they're going to make that happen where everybody will be back together at some point here in the near future playing again together.
someone like me who is familiar and remember seeing that iconic putt in 1999, they know the legacy of Payne Stewart. When younger generations that maybe weren't born by 1999 in the 2000s, when they come through these gates and they see Payne Stewart and their family says, this is who this gentleman was, if you had that opportunity to tell somebody looking at this statue, they say, who is that? What would you say?
I'd say arguably one of the, he's a Hall of Famer. He was flamboyant. He was a unique personality. He separated himself with the way he dressed. But if you dress like that, you have to have a game too.
Sure.
So and he had the game. I'd say not great at one thing, but very good at everything.
Well, I tell you what, there is nobody that has nothing but kind words to say about Payne Stewart. His legacy lives on. We're just so glad that you took time. We're honored that you joined us here at Paradise in the Pines to talk about Payne, reminisce a little bit, and also kind of look forward as to where we're taking this game and this wonderful U.S. Open in Pinehurst No. 2. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Okay, thank you, Phil. Thanks very much.
Our pleasure. Well, if you want to learn more about tourism, you can go to our website, which is homeofgolf.com. If you like our videos, you can go to our YouTube channel, which is Home of American Golf. If you like this podcast, search Paradise in the Pines, download it, and share it with your friends, and we'll see you next time. Awesome. No, we ended up